What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Mack.
And it's your boy Curtis, aka the Carolina Smash.
And we back with another episode of the Black Heroes Podcast.
Yay!
And we're getting back on that anime train. And we're going to be talking about Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood today.
Aka probably the most underrated GOAT of all time.
Most definitely, actually. It's not that many faults you can find in the show.
Exactly, but no one really talks about it. At least not as much as you would think.
It's not like long-running shonens. But, I mean, there's still something that's highly popular. Had two shows that are very, very, very well executed. And, I mean, a lot of people like them. I've only seen, like, a handful of people say that they don't like Full Metal Alchemist, I think.
See, unfortunately, I watched Brotherhood in its entirety, but I just didn't fully finish the first one.
Nah, I'm OG status with the 03, you know what I'm saying? Back when I was... 2003. I was born in 1995, so I was like 8 when I watched that junk. It was special.
I mean, for the bit I watched, I noticed that the first one was a lot darker than Brotherhood. Brotherhood had a little bit more like funny moments, a little more comedy in it.
Yeah, and pretty much for today, what we'll be talking about is like what we liked about the stories, whatever.
Characters, like shit at first.
Who cares? Like, you know, characters. Like, is there any issues that we have with the stories? Which, I mean, 03 had some issues, but, you know, Brotherhood, that's a really pretty tight-knit story.
I mean, I think I only have one issue, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a nitpick at best.
My only issue is, like, Rose. She went from Chocolate Sister to Robin.
Oh, wait, wait, nah. Because you give Robin a pass for that. You give her a pass.
Whatever, man. For 03, I was waiting for 03 Rose to pop back up, another Chocolate Sister. At least Robin changed after 2 years. Rose, they completely changed that right from the jump. I was like, oh, who is this light skin?
She was still, I find her attractive either way.
I was looking for my Hershey. I ended up getting the caramel thing.
You got the cookie and cream version.
Yeah, I was not all that happy about that. But, you know, that's probably the only big issue I got. I really don't have that many issues.
I mean, are we doing the issues now? Because my only issues was, I don't know how I felt about, I guess, spoilers, Hugh's death. I feel like I just wish we got a chance to, like, be with him more. I think it made the death more impactful.
Yay, you wanted to be with Hugh. But,
Hey.
That was a real man, though.
I'm about to say, yeah.
That was a great father goals. That, I don't know. I always liked it. But no, we ain't doing the issues now. So shut the hell up. What we will talk about right now, though.
We already did.
We did. But what we'll talk about right now, though, actual episode, get into the topic of Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Curtis, I'll let you go first since you are more scatterbrained on it than I am.
I don't want to say that. So, like I said, I've only seen Brotherhood. I've seen a little bit of the first one, but I never finished it in its entirely.
You ain't no true fan.
I saw Brotherhood first. What do you expect from me?
That's what somebody would say. That's what a hardcore would say.
But like from Brotherhood, I enjoyed it, and for the little bit I've seen in the first one, I enjoyed it. I can tell the first one's a bit darker. I kind of liked what they did with the characters in Brotherhood. I like what they did with Scar. I like what they did with Bradley. I still don't understand why they switched them up. Because in the first one, Bradley was like with Pride.
Yes.
Yeah, and then in Brotherhood he was Raph, which at first when I was watching it in real time, I didn't understood that because he didn't really give off the vibe of Raph a lot. I feel like, you know, Raph was like a little more, I guess, angry.
Yeah, I mean, because Raph isn't like a constant thing of being angry. Raph is just having anger. So, like when he was talking about when he confronted Mustang, and he was like, "Oh yeah, at Hughes' funeral when his little daughter kept screaming and yelling,
shaking."
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh no, I was actually angry the whole time. Like this little whelp wouldn't shut the fuck up."
Right, I saw that. I was like, "Damn."
But I mean, at the same point though, he is somebody who's highly disciplined. So.
And
It's controlled anger. So, if I had to say, I've seen both the OG and Brotherhood. So with OG, it was really one of my hallmarks from my childhood because I mean it was a really great story. You got to see some really big things of challenging morality. Because I mean one of my favorite moments, possibly all time, is after Ed fights Greed in the original, and then the last battle, because in the original Ed fought Greed like 3 times, and in the last one he fought him, and the way they did the homunculus in the originals, the homunculus, you had to have a portion of their original body by them to be able to kill them, instead of like in Brotherhood where they had like the finite number of souls, so you had to kill them a certain amount of times. So I know which one I like better. I think I might like Brotherhood's way of the homunculus a little bit better.
Between both shows, I actually did look at. I'm just going to make a brief statement about the openings. I kind of prefer Brotherhood openings over the original.
Well, it's an older style thing.
But don't get me wrong, the original ones are really good too.
Hold on, man, you interrupted what I was talking about. So pretty much what I was talking about with greed thing, fucking up the rotation, man. So the thing with the greed part is when Ed actually goes down. By the way, spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't seen the original Full Metal Alchemist.
I mean, it came out in 03, so like...
Yeah, so I mean, kiss ass. So, you know...
Okay, don't do that, but like, this, you still watch it at least.
Kiss somebody else's ass. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, Ed, he goes through and he kills greed, and you see him have like a really quick mental breakdown of it because... And I always appreciated that because, I mean, at that point, Ed was only 15 years old, 16. So, you actually saw how an actual 16-year-old would react to killing somebody. And after that, it kind of just turned away from him shying away from killing the homunculus. I mean, even though it's not a person, it still was a living being. So when Ed had to kill it, you know, it was just a really cool thing. So I always like that bit of how they tested morality in the original a little bit better than Brotherhood, where Ed never actually had to kill anybody. So he got to stay with his morals.
Okay, I'm just gonna bring it back a little bit and do like a nice little summary, like what the driving force of the show, what both shows are. Basically, the whole show, like, alchemy is the huge thing. Equivalent of exchange, like if you make something, you have to give something up. And the two brothers, Ed and Alphonse, their mother died, and the gist of it, they're trying to bring her back. And that failed spectacularly, and because of that, Al lost his body, and Ed lost his arm and his leg.
Yep, left arm, right leg, and from there, it's a journey to try to get their original bodies back, where they have to find the Philosopher's Stone. So to get access to, you know, highly classified information, Ed becomes an alchemist, aka a dog of the state, which I think automatically made him a major in the military.
I believe so.
He was only like 15, so
that's impressive.
He was the youngest. He was the youngest one. They called him a genius alchemist and stuff like that. So I'd have to say one of my favorite things about Full Metal Alchemist in general was how it was always ideological battles. So it was like really great fights. I mean, hand-to-hand combat in OG and the original was amazing. Especially for the OG, because I mean that's 2003 animation, but
it still looked really good.
It looked great.
It still holds up.
It was funny. It had like really good fight scenes and stuff like that. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like Ed versus Greed was like top dollar in OG for that last one. But yeah, so you just had the thing where, you know, it's ideological battles, because even when Ed was fighting Greed, it was just kind of a thing like, well, do you really need to be like greedy? Do you really need that avarice? Like, can't you just go off and just live a quiet life? And Greed's like, no, I want everything, and you're stopping me from getting everything, so I gotta fight you. Then when it comes into Brotherhood and you have Greed, and you know, Greed's living inside of Ling, and you know, Greed's like, oh well, you know, one of the cool things about being greedy is that I don't actually have to lie, because I just want you to know what I want. I know what I want. I don't have to lie about it. And then when he died, it was that thing of he lied to Ling. It's like, well, take him together, and then boom, he got rid of Ling. So it was just like the way they did the ideals of the characters. I can't talk today.
It's cool, but do you think they did a good job, like with how they depict religion and science? 'Cause I think that's the beginning with Rose and Ed. Rose, she had this blind faith, and to get her boyfriend back. Was it boyfriend Kane? I think his name was.
I don't know.
Yeah, Kane. And she had this blind faith that wasn't Cornelius.
I was trying to be the next boyfriend.
And she was have this blind faith to get her boyfriend back, and Ed just basically shut her down. Like, nah. Like,
then that was the cool part about it. It was like you had that battle of ideology where Ed was like, because Ed was atheist. So he was like, well, believing in God is all nice and stuff, but like, what does it really do for you? And it was the thing of like, well, you sitting there following this Cornello dude. That was the name you were trying to remember.
Appreciate it.
And he's like, but this guy's a fraud. Sometimes you can't just put blind faith in something. Sometimes you just got to get up and do it yourself. Sometimes prayer isn't what you need. You just got to put the work in yourself.
Right, that was a badass moment though. I think towards the end of that arc, Ed was like, "You got 2 good feet, Rose. Use them," and walked off. I was like, savage.
I mean, Ed is still one of the best protagonists ever
He
written.
is.
so most definitely. And I mean, the fact that they kept some good old fashioned OG stuff in the Brotherhood was really great, because I mean, a lot of what built Fullmetal Alchemist was some of those same qualities. So, because Brotherhood was more towards the manga. Fullmetal Alchemist in the original was kind of veered off, but it was still really.
I kind of wish that Brotherhood would have started the same way the original started out, to kind of give more into their backstory. I know we got it, but I kind of wish we would start at least one episode explaining it more.
Well, the cool thing that I always thought about with Brotherhood was that first episode with old buddy, the ice dude, I don't remember his name, and he's like, no, the government's corrupt and Bradley's evil, da-da-da-da-da. That dude was always right.
That was true. He's the unsung hero of this show.
And nobody remembers his name.
Isaac.
Oh, Isaac Dougal?
Yep.
Power of Google. Big Dougal or Dougal?
McDougal.
Oh, yeah. Isaac, who cares? That dude was right.
Put some respect on that man's name.
He lost. He died.
Yeah, but if he succeeded, the show wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but he lost. So thankfully for him dying, we got amazingness. So
fair point.
So like, just the fact that he was actually correct in the beginning always was kind of funny to me. I mean, still wouldn't have been able to do nothing, because I mean, who was gonna stop Bradley at that point?
Bro, I've never seen someone be such a beast with just swords.
I mean, I have, but
okay. 1v1, no powers, just straight sword skills.
Man,
Bradley
we
versus
doing
Zoro.
all this versus stuff on the podcast, man. We talking about actual stuff.
You know Zoro goes lose.
Shut up.
Saying.
So you got to take out Bradley's eye. Then. He got the ultimate eye, but I was glad they kept that the same. That power was, that homunculus power was amazing.
That shit was
that's a good question. What homunculus power would you want? Would you want gluttony, eating everything, being able to just?
Well, I don't want to be fat, so.
I mean, you ain't got to be fat. You just devour it. I just said the power.
I feel like I would get
Not
fat.
to mention, gluttony was insanely strong.
He was.
Lust, the ultimate spear, where you could just stab anything. Envy, you could turn into whatever. I don't know what her ultimate thing was. Ultimate liar or some shit like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind having envy's power, but I could be like the male Mystique, so like I could be whoever I want.
Nah.
What about you then?
I don't know. The ultimate eye thing helped Bradley survive a train explosion, so maybe that. And Bradley was just a monster. I mean, granted, it was also like really life-threatening military training on top of that. Well, secret society military training, but that eyes.
I mean, it'd just be
you
weird.
You practically got the Sharingan gun,
yeah, but it'd just be weird, like looking at you. I feel like when I look at you face to face, and
I mean, even still though, he didn't really have to see. You didn't really need to have his eye out to use it. He just like, because he had it covered up most of the time, but was still a savage.
So are you gonna wear the whole eye patch thing?
I mean, people look cool with eye patches.
Would you?
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Ladies, let me know if I look cool with an eye patch. But yeah, most definitely, I might have to stick with the ultimate eye. That jump was a beast. I pretty much got the shine gun without having to have them weird dot things in my eye.
And you don't have to like kill people to gain more power, I guess.
Well, I mean, I don't have to burn people up or anything like that. My eyes ain't got to bleed. Yeah, I don't need no Visine.
You won't lose your vision.
Yeah, Visine is never needed anymore.
Oh my god, cause that's your favorite power. Like, who's your favorite character?
It's gotta be Ed. I mean, Ed both times had amazing development. He got taller in the Brotherhood, so I was like, okay, that's cool. I remember I was really surprised by that, because in the original he still stayed short, kind of short, but in Brotherhood, you know, they actually showed time passing a little bit better. So like that last arc where he was at Renri's house, Renri's grandma's house, the Rockville residence, however you want to put it, and you know, she popped up and she was about to have the titties flop out, and he was just sitting there.
Oh my
That was
god.
oh my god, that caught me so off guard because I was just sitting there. And the funny thing about it, I remember this so clearly because I was eating myself watching the episode, and then next thing you know, it's just like she pulls her shirt up, and then next thing you know, you just see like these 2 round balls. I'm like,
Two round balls.
yeah, and I'm just sitting there like, where did these come from?
I think that's the best description of boobs I ever heard. 2 round balls.
And I was like, and then she just stopped. I was like, well, why'd you stop? And then next thing you know, Ed was sitting there. And then Ed was sitting there. I was like, man, Ed probably has the insane question. Why'd you stop? Come on.
Bro, are you sure Ed's your favorite character? 'Cause I feel like, like Winry might be your actual
Not
favorite.
to mention, Ed is hilarious. I do love how they did Winry and Brotherhood. But Ed is hilarious at the same time.
Shout out to a fellow short person.
Not no more. But,
I mean, well, he's like at least, what, 5'9"?
nah, Ed's like 5'9", 5'10".
How tall was he at the beginning?
5'3".
Huh.
I think 5'3", 5'2". He was short.
Man.
Yeah. So most definitely that was cool. And at the end of the story, he was like towering over Henry.
This is true. I remember that.
Yeah. So like Ed had amazing developments. He was an amazing hand-to-hand fighter. I think that was always underrated in some aspects because everybody pull up these things like, who will win in this fight? Who will win in this fight? No powers. Da 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 da. Like, let's see your boy Midoriya hand stand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stand up to my boy Ed.
Okay, you know what? We'll talk about that later.
Straight up off the hands. Like, straight up off the hands. My boy is waxing that ass.
That remains to be seen. I personally think. Nah, I mean, we ain't gonna get into that.
If you tried to tell me Midoriya could stand up to Edward Elric in hand-to-hand combat.
Maybe.
You out your
nah. Honestly, yes, Ed beats Midoriya. I'm just trolling y'all.
Say that. But yeah, he was an amazing fighter. He was highly intelligent because, I mean, he was 15 and knew all this stuff about chemical properties, the proper way to use his alchemy. He had a really good imagination, especially when he would try to design cars. His sense of style was terrible, but it was always funny. And he was just a savage. I mean, like you said, one of your favorite moments is when the Alphonse, like, he was getting carried away from Alphonse's real body, and he just busted the door.
He just punched the wall.
And I'm just sitting there like, who would think to do that?
Exactly, man. Like, and this the things he said, like, I promise I'll be back for you. And like,
yeah, so like it was just all around like a really great character. So
see, I respect it. I feel like Ed would probably he's probably number 2 or 3 in my list. I gotta think about that. My favorite character is Roy Mustang. I don't know, like, there's something about Roy I just really liked. He's like that cocky nature. Right? He made. I just hit the table. I'm okay, but like Roy was the first person I know that made snapping cool. I never knew snapping your fingers could be cool.
Maya Angelou may snap him cool, but
I love his power. Like, snap his fingers, and whatever he sees is get blown up. Pretty much, he was like pre-Bakugo, but like a more calm version.
I wish he could be like Mustang. Got it.
But like going back to Hughes, like only problem I have with like Hughes, I kind of wish we got more of him. But his death kind of played into Roy's story and his quest for revenge, and this goes into my favorite moment. That probably is my second favorite moment in the show. Behind the thing with Ed is when Roy confronts Ivy. But before I go into detail about that, one thing I do like about Roy is his relationship with me, best girl in the whole show. That's a show. Hawkeye. Oh, you don't think Hawkeye is the best girl?
Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, like, that was the greatest would they won't they story ever. And did they? Yeah, they got together. Oh, well, I guess it's hinted that they got together at the end. It's
hinted in both the original and
in my mind they got together.
It's fiction, so after the story ends, do what you want.
But like one thing that always made me laugh about Roy is that like he can't use his power in the rain. Like literally, Mother Nature is his weakness.
I like the fact that they like continuously did that. That joke was pretty funny because they only did it once, and I think only once in the OG, but in Brotherhood, that was like a running gag. And Ed always kept like poking fun at him about it, so it was funny. Not to mention because like Roy was just so mean to Ed in the beginning.
He was, but he came to respect Ed.
Well, Full Metal.
But that's the thing. They're going with when he confronted Envy. I can't talk today either. I can't talk today either.
It's an off day.
Oh, it is. But like, Ed was the one like basically lecturing him, and he's like, "Dang, I'm being scolded by a child."
Yeah,
And that's like a little bit of growth. He went from like not giving a fuck about Ed to honestly just hearing his thoughts and respecting him.
I mean, he always respected Ed. It's not that he didn't care about Ed. It was just that he couldn't be nice to him because, I mean, what he's trying to do is, it was pretty impossible. You got to make sure that you keep him on his toes, keep him hot-headed. That was one of his biggest qualities. So, most definitely. I'd have to say that, for me, with the characters of Full Metal Alchemist, they just seem so well written. And they seem like the fit perfectly, like, cause like how you always praise Naruto with character development, it's like Fullmetal Alchemist has some amazing character developments. And
I agree.
Like when you talk about Ed, you talk about Alphonse. With Alphonse, he was never really. Alphonse was low key better than Ed in a lot of aspects because he was a better fighter. Well, yeah, he was a better fighter because they actually have that canon.
He was more like calm in situations.
Yeah, he was calm-headed. He was a little bit more strategic. So Ed probably had him in education. Probably they were both about probably same level.
Probably
smarts.
like that, probably creativity.
Yeah, so Ed was more creative than Al and stuff. But then again, Al couldn't do the alchemy with his hands yet. So Alphonse is just like so great. And then when you saw him go on his own in OG and how he just handled himself so well. So, I mean, you saw him from having to kind of be around Ed and kind of not really thinking for himself sometimes to actually being able to formulate things. And he did that sacrifice at the end because, I mean, when he gave up his soul to get Ed's arm back, no telling if he was coming back.
That is true. So. And like one thing that I'll give Al credit for is that like the whole situation with their dad, and like Al pretty much forgave his dad after a while.
Yeah,
Ed
and
never
that
did
way
that.
It kind of works in playing so well with the timing because Alphonse was a baby. Like, what was a baby going to remember? He didn't even really remember his dad all that much. He just kind of knew what he looked like, and he had a picture of him. So, you know, it was just kind of the thing of like that childish ignorance kind of fit him so well.
Yeah, but I feel like when it comes to Ed, I feel like that whole entire situation could have been.
But Ed was older.
It could have been like
he blamed, and he also. But that was also another thing because when you had Hohenheim, who by the way was done much better in the second. Like he was doing good in OG.
But couldn't their problems just be solved? If they just talked, like
Ed
Ed
was still
just
a
calmed
child.
down.
No, but Ed's still a child. That was the big thing, especially when Hohenheim confronted him. He was like, "Hey, why'd you burn down my house?" He was like, "Cause it was to show our resolve." Like, bullshit.
I was just so pissed.
Like, oh no, it wasn't. It wasn't resolve. Resolve my ass. All you was trying to do was pretty much cover up your mistake, like a child that wets the bed and hides the sheet.
Ooh. I mean, to be fair, Mike. Okay, would you be pissed if your son burned down your house?
I was sitting there just like, I was like, bro, you ain't had to say it like like, yo, why you had to say it like that, bro? Like, I thought Ed had it for resolve. I was rolling with that idea this whole time.
Hey, show makes you think.
But yeah, like, that junk hurt when he said it. But it was good because it led more of Ed's development because you still got to see that at the end of the day, Ed's a child. Like when he had that first fight against Scar after he killed Nina, like it's terrible. But you know what I'm saying? Like he was almost completely shell shocked that somebody was legit trying to kill him and almost did. I mean, Cornello tried to kill him, but I mean, Ed wasn't never really worried about that. But
I was say Ed was never like concerned about the whole entire situation.
Yeah, but Scar was just like a true monster. And
but how many people did he kill?
That's a good question.
Overall, like Jesus,
like hundreds.
Right, most of them like one shot.
And also, I think Scar is an underrated character.
I didn't really like him that much, and a little bit I seen in the first one, I wasn't a huge fan.
Scar was great in the first one, because actually, because like I said, Alphonse, like they kept a lot of qualities between the two. So in the first one, Alphonse and Ed do get separated again, but it was for different reasons. I think Ed just ended up caught up in something, and Alphonse got kidnapped. So, they also did have some things like with Marta. Remember the snake lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, when she got killed, I like how they kept that the same. That was still nasty. But yeah, so Alphonse was hanging around Scar, and you know he was just talking to Scar. That's when Scar revealed his backstory. I kind of like the OG Scar a little bit better than Brotherhood Scar. Because OG Scar, also for the fact that he died in the first one.
Yeah, that
so
was
it
like
kind
a
of
blow
came,
to me.
yeah, and he kind of kept that as a thing. It was like, I deserve death. I'm cool with dying. Like, so when he ended his life, he was like, well, this is what I deserve, and since I'm doing this as a way to help, because also he did it in a way to save Alphonse, because Kimberly was about to completely destroy Alphonse's armor, but Scar sacrificed his life, turning Alphonse into the Philosopher's Stone, which then helped to save Alphonse's life, because like he dispelled the alchemy or whatever.
I guess I just like Brotherhood better because one Scar lived, so we got to see more of his character, and I think the redemption in Brotherhood
that was
to me.
That was the last arc in the OG. So after that, pretty much everything was over.
I never like, at least with Scar, like he got to live, so we got to see that redemption with him. You don't have to die to redeem yourself.
I was gonna say, I was like, I like the character better in OG. I didn't say the OG was better than Brotherhood. I just like how they did him in OG better, because I mean it came full circle, and he was never afraid of that. So, and he kind of did it in the way of redemption. All the people that he killed, he gave up his life saving somebody. Yeah. Although he did completely eviscerate the entire town. But
yeah, I'd say yeah. Then he killed. He killed Henry's parents. I think. Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah, that was the same in both. Was that the same in both? Yeah, it was. But I like how they use that better for Renry's development. Like, Renry was done so much better in Brotherhood, because, I mean, in OG, she was kind of written off, but they geared it more towards Rose, and I was cool with that. I mean, like I said, I like Rose better than Renry in the first one. But then again, though, Rose she got done dirty in the first one. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to say this, but, like, Brotherhood, they created the most funniest thing with her. It's not even in the show. It's in the first opening. And we always talk about this.
You talking about the part where she just has the weird body thing?
She looks like the wind's blowing her.
That was so dumb. I didn't get the point of that.
Oh, God. Even though I love that opening, that is so the funniest thing ever. I mean, because she never got affected, but I guess the creator of the opening was like, oh, we gotta have her do something in the opening.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. That was so dumb. Thankfully, Rose had no moment like that. But
oh God.
But yeah, what do you think about the overall plot for both of them, or at least Brotherhood, since you know more about Brotherhood?
I enjoyed the plot. I don't think there wasn't any filler at all. I'm pretty sure.
Technically, the first episode was filler.
Yeah, that's really about it, though.
That's the only thing.
Like, the story was nice and tight. It didn't overstay its welcome. It introduced the characters, gave them development. It was like sweet, short, sweet, and to the point. Everything worked.
Yeah. I would say the only thing I laughed at least was how Ed like legit just got his arm back and he was just punching Father like it was, because I mean, and at first I was like, damn, so his arm was just perfectly fine, because Alphonse is all bony and stuff, but then I looked closer, I was like, oh no, that arm about to break. I was like, bro, you got like 2 more punches for your arm break. So the Brotherhood, nice tight plot. It was good. Characters got developed. No plot holes, really, that I can think of.
Some of the best moments.
And I tried, too. I literally tried to think of, like, some plot consistency.
I mean, going back to one of my favorite moments with Roy confronting Envy, and, like, that whole entire, like, scene was just perfect. Because, honestly, he owned Envy the whole entire fight.
So the cool thing about it was that, like, every single thing was defeated in a battle, but also in the ideals too, because we had Lust versus Roy. It was pretty much a man who should have been hesitant to hurt a woman that beautiful, and he just completely destroyed her with no care in the world.
I mean, bro, you see his eyes afterwards, he's like, no, yeah, like,
she even commented on that. It was just like, I love seeing cold eyes like that, because as Lust, I mean, people lust after her, but he just treated her as the enemy. Didn't treat her as, like, something to lust after.
See, what gets me with Envy though is that, like, when he's blasting, is Envy a he?
Envy is supposed to be a he, I think.
I was like,
because in the first one, he was Hohenheim and the main antagonist Diane's son that they had together. That was their original son. But in the second one, I think he was androgynous, or what's the word when he was like both or whatever. trying to get tapped by the LGBT, bro.
I mean, that's why I don't want to say it. I'm not saying it, but I know what you're going with.
He was a hermaphrodite.
God.
Yeah, no fear over here, cuz.
But like, then shout out to the voice actor. I watched it in dub, and like everyone he's attacking.
Did you watch something in dub?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's disgusting. How can you watch anime dub? Nah, I'm playing.
Because it's my language.
That was amazing. Both times.
But like, and when he's screaming while doing the blast, you can like actually hear the pain. Because this is when after Hugh dies, so you can just feel the pain, and Hawkeye is there, is watching and stuff. And you can just literally hear every bit of pain and anger and rage from him during that attack or attacks.
I mean, you're talking about what made the fight important, but the thing for Full Metal that I loved the most was just the psychological standpoints of it. Kind of like how you had Scar versus Bradley in the last.
That was
because Bradley was like, I don't actually have a name. They gave me King Bradley, but that's a title. So. And then Scar was like, what's your actual name, Scar? And Scar was like, I discarded my name. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. All right.
That was cool.
There ain't no Toby stuff around here, black man. That's why I like it. And he was like, oh, that's perfect. Two nameless warriors. Yeah, he was like two nameless warriors just fighting it out to the death. And I was like, this is savage. Because it was like Wrath. Like the opposite of Wrath is calm. So it was just like a calm battle. No anger, no stuff like that, just calm. And then Scar turned around full circle with him having deconstruction on one arm and then construction with the other arm.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, that was cool. That's how he beat Bradley, just have a spire. Well, it's kind of funny because Bradley was like, what? He was also human. Yeah, he was human, but he got the Philosopher's Stone inserted into him. So it was always all the way around ideally good, except for Sloth, maybe. I guess the only way that kind of counteracts is because it took a lot of work to kill him.
That's the only thing that really didn't have a real deep meaning. It's just like he got tired.
So I mean, he kept getting killed because they did get him a good couple times, especially when you had that Azumi. Azumi is probably one of the best females ever written.
So is that your top girl?
Nah, she ain't got no stomach, and she married. I don't care about no married women. What? I ain't about to fantasize about no married women, but
oh my god.
Nah, but and then when you think about both, I like her a little bit better in OG because they had that dynamic. Because in OG, the Wrath was the child that she tried to revive, like how in the OG Sloth was Ed and Al's mother, but that was the biggest pothole because they met like because she was Bradley's secretary, and they met her multiple times, and I'm sitting there like, that is a carbon copy of your mom. How are you not seeing that? How are neither of you just
oh my god. But I do have a question for you, and I hope you can be able to explain it to me a little bit. Could you describe like the main antagonist of the original? I know it's like some lady. I know in Brotherhood is his father, obviously, but in the first one, it's this lady. I think it's the main antagonist.
No, the main antagonist is a lady named Diane. Well, her actual name isn't known. She took over the body of an old lady named Diane, so they just kept calling her that.
Okay.
So in the main one, the problem they came across was that Hohenheim and his first love, Diane, were pretty much stealing bodies. They figured out how to make a Philosopher's Stone, and from that they figured out they could transfer their souls to different bodies. So Diane eventually needing more souls, or at least, for a Philosopher's Stone, she found a way to incorporate Homunculus into working into the government, which gave her pretty much access to all the bodies she needed. So that was pretty cool. And when you got to the end of it, it was it fit really well, because at the end of it, Hohenheim was like, well, bad thing about this, Diane, is that our bodies are just going to decompose faster, because she just stole the body of, because when she's originally introduced, she's an old lady and she had a servant with her. Then by the end of it, she took over the body of the servant, and she just recently did it, but it was already starting to decay. So
she's kind of like the Orochimaru of Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, pretty much,
but like less creepy.
Nah, she was still evil. That lady was evil, because she was about to steal the body of Rose, and she had Rose pretty much hypnotized. But like I said, Rose, went through a much more traumatic thing because the town that she lived in, Lior, in the original, got because at the end of it, it became like a big civil war.
Did she become like not a nun, but
Yeah,
like she became a nun.
She was sexually assaulted. Actually, she had a kid too, and she took care of the baby. I don't think it was her baby, but she was sexually assaulted, was taking care of a kid, and she was also pretty much mute. Then Diane found her, thought she was beautiful. Was like, oh, it's a nice, beautiful black body.
Facts.
And so, she was going to have it geared to where she was going to take over Rose's body, and Ed would be her new Hohenheim. Mm-hmm. So that was a crazy thing.
Okay. Do you think that she made a better antagonist than Father?
Nah, because OG Fullmetal Alchemist, but kind of went bad there. They had too many aspects going on at one time. They had the military attacking people. They had Mustang and Bradley having their own fight, which is actually a really good fight at Bradley's house. Ed was fighting Diane and Envy, because towards the end of it, Envy was the last one. So it was like just so many different aspects. As Brotherhood, it all ended up happening in Amestris at the last time.
Okay.
Also, Brotherhood had better world building because they introduced Shing, you had Ishval, you had Amestris, you had what's the country above them that Briggs fought all the time?
I completely forgot.
It started with a D. The D, so
the D.
You had the D, so it was just like really great world building that worked into the plot of Fullmetal Alchemist like really well. Also, you didn't have you had less annoying characters in Brotherhood because
I never really hated anyone.
Yeah, OG, you had Kimberly, who was like a psychopath, complete. I like how they did Kimberly so much better in Brotherhood because in the original he was
awesome in Brotherhood.
Yeah, and OG though he was just crazy. Legit just wanting to blow shit up. And I mean, same thing there, but he actually had a point towards the end. And also he had some pretty savage moments. So
he did.
And then you had that dude Archer. He's this guy that wouldn't die. He was a douchebag general and he just wouldn't die. And he came back as a android cyborg type thing. And then Azumi and Armstrong had to fight him in the end, if I'm not mistaken. I know Azumi did. I can't remember who helped her. I just remember that she was struggling towards the end because her inside, her womb was gone. So every now and then she would just suffer from blood loss or eternal bleeding, especially if she worked too hard. So it was touch and go for a long moment. I think it was Hawkeye actually that came and saved at the last second. But yeah, so you had much better characters in Brotherhood and characters that mattered more. So I'd have to say with plot, Brotherhood was definitely much more tight-knit.
What would you say would be your top sad moment in the show that kind of could still get an emotion out of you?
Which one?
Either or.
So I have to say, I don't really get too emotional in these shows. I just kind of watch them. Not to sound heartless and nothing, but it's only a few moments that I legit have never made it through in certain animes. But for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, I have to say the moment where Renri confronts Scar.
That was a good one.
That was an amazing moment. And then also both times actually, because she confronted Scar again in Briggs, outside of Briggs, where she traveled with Scar. She was just he was like, oh, you gonna take revenge on me? She was like, no, I'm moving past that, so I'm gonna become a murderer like you. And and I was like, that's growth. Shouts to Renry.
It was a good sad moment for me. It was a brief sad moment. It was right after the confrontation between Lust and Roy, where I think Hawkeye thought Roy was dead. And it's her emotional outburst from thinking that he died.
Oh, that was I really enjoyed that. Then you had the thing afterwards where Havoc was paralyzed. The fact they did that to Havoc, man, because Havoc's low-key one of my favorites.
He was just that cool supporting character.
He was a really cool character. You had the moment where was that the original? Yeah, I think it was Brotherhood where Mustang was talking about becoming pure. He's like, when I become pure, all the female soldiers have to wear tiny mini skirts.
And he's like, I'll follow you forever. I'll follow you.
I'll follow you. I love you, Colonel. I'll follow you to the ends of the. But I mean, would you not want to see Hawkeye's legs in a miniskirt?
I mean, duh.
Then we actually got to see Hawkeye in the skirt when they do the backstory for Hawkeye. Oh man.
Oh man. I feel like after this, they're gonna know I'm a freaking Roy and Hawkeye stan. Bro, she's just a true ride or die. I still remember, I forgot the context of the moment, but she told Roy like, "Oh, bro, I will follow you to hell if you ask me to." Like, let the girl like say that to you or say that to me. I'm like, bro, you are a ride or die.
I mean, she literally almost died for it too.
That is true.
But yeah. Also, I love in Brotherhood. One of the best things is how they did the consequences, or at least how they outlined the consequences for doing human transmutation. Because it's like for Ed and Al, they wanted to bring somebody back, but so they pretty much took away the hand for Ed to hold on to and the leg for him to walk on, and then for Al they took away the body because that was his whole entire being at that point, just being with his family. So like they took that away with Izumi. They took away her insides where she could give birth. So even after her child died, she can't give birth to another child.
That sucks too.
Yeah. Mustang, they took his eyesight.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, fam. Like, okay, the last opening made that moment even more sadder for me because like the song itself was sad.
Go back to that part. Oh, you said sadder? I thought you said satisfied.
No, I wasn't satisfied with that. No,
I was about to say, but you messed that word up.
Bro, I wear glasses, man. Like I understand, but no, it was just like the opening made that moment sadder. Just because like the sad music and it's that moment where like I guess he's plunging into the blindness and they shoot to Hawkeye. She's crying. I'm like, bro, that's actually a really good opening.
Yeah, then that was just messed up when she pretty much cut her neck. I was like, oh god. And they just forced him to do it. So then, but he still had to suffer the consequences of losing his eyesight because he wanted to see the change of the world. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Bradley that pointed all that out.
And I thought like that because it's like a callback to what Lust said about his eyes. So he's like, I can't wait to see those like.
Well, because it's also him. He wants the sight of his goals, so he has his sight set on his goals. So you know, like even if you do become Führer now, you can't see it. So it was like, damn, that's just cold.
I wonder like if that happened to us, what would our punishment be?
Bro, take away anime.
Or that like take away like my Xbox. Every time I grab it, it like hurts me.
take away my hearing, so I can't hear good music and stuff.
My friend will be like, "You trying to play some Apex?" Like, I can't.
So it's just, I don't know. That's a funny idea, but another thing I was wondering, what do you think about some of the influences in Full Metal Alchemist? Because obviously, like we said, it's one of the most tightly written stories. It's an amazing story, an amazing ending. It's a female manga, by the way. So the creator of Full Metal Alchemist is female. So that's probably why the character writing's so great. I mean, she just understands how to do character writing so well.
Talking about how like influence other shows, or
yeah, so like some of the influence on something that's so monumental, and it's an oldie. I mean, 2003, 2000s to 20. When was Brotherhood come out? 2013, 15?
Brotherhood came out actually longer. No, wait, it wasn't 15, was it? I think something came out in like 09.
Yeah, figure that out. So, just for something that was so really well executed, just wondering, like, you know, how well it's influenced on some things.
2009.
2009. God, is that early?
2009 to 2010.
I'm in high school still with that.
I was a freshman in high school.
I thought it was. I don't know why. I just thought it wasn't that old. I didn't think it was that old. That's 10 years ago. But yeah. So, what do you think of the influences? I have my idea, but I'll just let you go.
I mean, I feel like you can see like bits and pieces of Ed. It's like throughout other shows, other protagonists.
Asta is based off of Ed. I'm playing. I'm lying.
I mean, honestly, fam, actually, if you like really think about it, you can see bits and pieces of Ed in Asta. Technically, like
he's just not as smart.
Yeah.
Ed is one of the most intelligent characters written.
Finally, an intelligent protagonist. Some like the main characters usually are not the smartest. Usually, not all the time, but like Ed was like a true.
Well, he's
genius.
a smart shonen character.
Okay, because like, could you read like how Asta? You did say that Asta's not a genius.
No, he's not. It's not that he's not educated. It's not that he's dumb. He's just not
like
educated.
Luffy's not a genius. Naruto isn't a genius. Ichigo kinda is a genius.
Nah, Ichigo's smart. He's not no genius.
He can make bees and stuff.
Yeah, so he's on the honor roll. But yeah, so like for me, because no matter what nobody says, I literally think that Demon Slayer was an attempt of trying to be like the next Full Metal Alchemist, where it's something that's not that long, but it was just going to be great character writing, great ideological battles, because that's one of the biggest things about Demon Slayer. Because for me, I'd have to say with Demon Slayer, one of the best things about it is the fact that it was something that was tackling the point of staying human, and I feel like it has a lot of inspiration on that from Fullmetal Alchemist, because at the end of the day, when you see all these fights against monsters, I mean, Mustang said it best. He was like, I was always called a monster for the war in Ishval, but I don't really feel more human than when I'm fighting actual monsters. So, you had to go through and just see like why it's worth being human when you defeat these monsters. And when you got envies like, oh well, hey, Pipsqueak, what about the fact Envy kept calling it Pipsqueak?
But the amount of short jokes in the
show. Fullmetal Alchemist is a hilarious fucking show too.
Oh my god.
But he was like, what about Scar? He killed your friend's parents, da-da-da-da-da. Or Scar, Mustang, he killed so many of your people. Or Mustang, Scar killed so many alchemists. You hate him, you hate me, da-da-da-da-da. But you saw, I was like, nah, we're gonna be human and be above that. So it's like with Demon Slayer, you have so many moments like that where the demons are like, hey, become a demon, so that way you can be eternal and stay powerful and stuff. And then you have the people like, nah, I'll stick with being human. It just didn't execute it as well as Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because there's certain things that Demon Slayer it does well, but it's not on par with
Demon Slayer has false character development.
That and like the world building just isn't really there in Demon Slayer. It's okay, but it's compared to other shows.
They don't world building in Demon Slayer. You don't explore the different regions of Japan. You just show up at a place. You show up, you fight, and then you have a false sense of character development.
Well, I didn't mean like the world building. I'm like the area, I guess I'm trying to say. I don't know. Like this is like a hint
it's a difference. There's a difference between going to a place and building that world. Like you understand the policies of like just roles and stuff in One Piece.
I just want them like to explore more characters, because in Full Metal, like these characters, you understand their motivations to a certain degree, and like why they do the things that they do. In Demon Slayer, that's not the case. Yeah, there's some pillars I want to know more about.
Yeah, and you understand more of the different territories, because when you sit there and you learn about like Ishval, like how they work as a country, what happened to them, and also to see how their people grew past that and stuff. That's amazing. But you have Shing. You don't go to Shing, but you do get to see what happened to Shing. At least you get to hear about the political system in Shing. How they select emperors. They got all the families. I think the king has like 46 kids or something like that. So he's like, oh, Shing is a constant battle of assassinations for secession.
I feel like if they were to do a filler, that they should have like did his homeland, maybe like an episode in his homeland.
Yeah, but there was no reason, because if he went back without having anything, it would be no use.
Maybe like showing like him before he left.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, but I mean, they talked about how he was always assassinated and stuff. So I would like to see how Ling and Xiao Mei went through and like survived there. You had Xerxes, where you learned that's actually where Hohenheim's from Xerxes. You found out Hohenheim's a slave. Yeah, that was really surprising.
I'm not gonna lie, that was really surprising. I was like, you would not expect someone like him
to be born a slave.
Exactly.
In Xerxes, and then he talks to this thing in a flask and
like
becomes friends with it.
Ball and like a little mini ball.
Yeah, and if he didn't have the flask, he would just die. And then he based his body off of Hohenheim. So it's just like that character development is just extraordinary.
All right, would you talk to a ball in a flask?
I mean, if it's just talking to me and I can destroy the flask at any time and kill it, why not? So that's how Hohenheim was thinking. He was like, well, it's a thing. So yeah, most definitely. But it has some great influences on a lot of things. Great, you know what I'm saying? You should definitely try to do stuff like Full Alchemist, because it's short, sweet, and just executed so well.
Like even little things. Like there's one thing that they do that I know it's like few other shows do it, but I wish more shows would do it. Like it'll play the ending, like a few minutes before the actual credits.
Yeah, like Hunter x Hunter does that.
Yeah.
In some ways, I didn't like too many openings. It was only like one, I think. I think like the third one I liked. It had a really good guitar piece in the beginning, and like you could see the red electricity going through the tunnel after when they was it was the last ending actually, where they had built the whole array across the semesters. That was that was one of my favorite endings. Oh, speaking of which, let's talk about this too.
I really wanted to talk to you about this because we've been arguing this for years now.
Okay, I am of the, I guess unbiased opinion that opening 1 sucks, and Curtis thinks opening 4.
Yeah, I think opening 4 is. I mean, I don't think it's bad, but it just to me doesn't vibe with the show as the other ones do. At least not for me. I feel like 4 belongs in Naruto.
Nah, you just giving what Naruto? Like 1 was some weird. I hated it. I just didn't like the song at all.
I think
plus that Winry part was stupid.
If I could rank them, it's like 3, 1, 2, 5, 4.
What you gonna put? What? You gonna put 5? Rain with Sid?
What? Bro, I liked it. I like 3. 3 is my favorite. I mean, 5 is a good
Golden
ending.
Time Lover was
opening.
cool. I mean, Golden Time Lover was cool. I like the guitar piece, and I mean, sometimes like the song. If I had to do the ranking, I would do 4, 2, 5, 3, and then I'd move on.
That's messed up. That's messed up, bro. I'm sorry, man. Like to me,
to be on my list.
Opening 1 to me is just iconic. That's really the first opening you think of when you think of like Full Metal.
You know the funny thing about it being iconic, and also like your favorite Naruto opening, it didn't get played at the end.
So
you know what happened with Fairy Tail? You know what happened with Fairy Tail? It got played at the end.
Fuck Fairy Tail. I'm kidding. I like
Snow
Fairy Tail.
It was played at the end.
Bro,
so,
okay, just because it didn't play at the end doesn't mean that's not amazing.
That means it's garbage.
No, it's not.
It didn't.
I remember you got so mad when we watched the Mojo video and they put that in the greatest openings of all time. I appreciated that.
Bruh, I was sitting there.
Hey, like, what y'all think? Comment that below. Like, how y'all feel about opening 1? Because I love it. He hates it. It's amazing. Besides
it's just like Tokyo's Ghouls opening too.
I love that one.
I hated that genre.
Oh yeah, I remember like you hate like almost half of my top opening list.
I only had like 3.
That's a huge chunk.
It was 10.
That's a huge chunk.
There's 7 that I like, fool. How do you not know how fractions work?
I know how fractions work, but bro, that's 3.
Do you not know how percentages work?
Okay, first of all, that's like 7. That's basically you giving me a 70 on a test.
Yeah, that means you passed.
Barely. I made a C. That's not like that's average. That's
average. You still passed. So I don't know. Like opening 1, I just always hated the endings. I never actually didn't mind the endings. I think I like ending 2. What's the one where they had like that? They had like the little drawing of Ed and Al.
Wasn't that 2?
I think it's 2.
To me, it was 4. I really like the 4. I really like that it goes into like when they play the ending a little bit ahead of time, and sometimes that ending worked really well for the scene.
Yeah, it did.
I like any other endings? I think it's just 4 for me.
Nah, it's like 1. 4 is cool. I can't think of any other one. But I mean, aside from that though, just to give an overall thought on Full Metal Alchemist, I'd say literally Full Metal Alchemist might be just the greatest of all time because it's a great story, great beginning, great middle. It's funny, it has the humor, it has the serious moments, it has the fights, top tier fights.
Yeah, to me, like if it's not the greatest of all time, it has to be in the conversation.
Or at least you could say the greatest short anime of all time.
Yeah,
because Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is 64 episodes.
I think so. Literally, you can finish it in a couple days.
And then the original, something like 50 something.
51.
51. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then they had the movie backup that didn't really answer too many other questions.
I mean, the only reason why I know that because I was rewatching some episodes on Netflix and it showed me how many episodes there are. So.
Yeah. So the original, it was like the cliffhanger kind of killed it because you had Ed. Oh, actually, that was a good question. How did you feel about how they did the alchemy system in Brotherhood versus OG, because in OG it was like you were part of another world. So anytime you use alchemy in the regular world, you were killing somebody in the other world.
I thought it was a very dark way to go about the power system.
Yeah, because Ed was stuck over there, and so when he got back, his body in that world died, and he got jumped.
Yeah, because they didn't do that in Brotherhood at all, did they?
No.
Yeah,
Brotherhood, it was actually just a thing. I think they explained it that alchemy came from the power transfer from the tectonic shifts of the world, and then Shing was like some Chinese Asian thing.
I mean, this goes to show, man, the original, like, it was just darker all the way around.
Alchemy, there we go. Yeah.
Okay, I remember like you was had a thing about power systems. Do you think that Full Metal Alchemist stayed true to his power system throughout the whole entire show?
I mean, yeah, it's alchemy. I mean, what all can you break about it? They did equivalent. They didn't really have to do equivalent exchange after a while. Anytime they changed up the scenery before then, they stayed pretty current to it. So, yeah, when Al gave up his soul to get Ed's arm back, it was a fair exchange. When Ed wanted to get Al's body back, he gave up alchemy.
I don't know why, but like, I kind of just that small part of me that wish he got to keep his power or his alchemy. But I mean, I understand why, and it is a beautiful ending. But it's just that small part of me that kind of just wish.
I mean, he's working to get it back, so. And I mean, it's a question of whether or not he can't do alchemy now. That's what I was always wondering, because since it's technically set up differently, you know, I was like, maybe he can do alchemy, maybe not. Who knows? He went on that journey to figure it out. I kind of like the fact that also that Ed pretty much turned into Hohenheim.
He did.
Because Ed always had that issue. It was like, you kept leaving. Then like next thing you know, it was just like, all right, Wilmer, I'll be back. But then you do get to see that they do get to build a family. So I like how they kind of started that with the picture on the wall, and you know you see it kind of transverse to that, like you know the old pictures where it's Ed, Al, Hohenheim, and Trisha, probably one of the best models in anime, and then it's like Ed's family and like his whole friends and family, except for Mustang. I don't think Mustang was in the picture at the end.
I don't think so.
But because they showed all the pictures of how everybody was holding up. Like Mustang was no, he didn't become Führer. Grumman became Führer.
He's just out there cool. Somewhere with Hawkeye, cool like making babies. Hopefully,
yeah, he was trying to figure out a way to kill Grumman now. But yeah, so I just like how they kept it to where it's like the story ended in such a nice way and people were moving forward with stuff. So that was cool. So overall, you know, Brotherhood, really good series, perfect ending, perfect plot. OG, really good story, had some inconsistencies, had a whole lot of stuff thrown in there that kind of messed up the ending with the cliffhanger. What do you think about overall?
Overall, like, it's, to me, like I said, it's very underrated, but I feel like it shouldn't be. It should be one of those shows that, like, everyone has seen or everyone talks about, but they don't. But I just feel like it's just one of those shows that you had to add this to your watch list. Even with some of the spoilers we said, us saying it doesn't do it justice. Like, you need to go out and watch it yourself and experience those moments for yourself. It's kind of like with me and Code Geass. Like, I knew the endings. I didn't have any interest to it. Watching it, and now I'm seeing that build up. It's actually pretty enjoyable. So, still go watch it.
Say that's probably the only short anime that can give Full Metal Alchemist a run for its money, boy.
And for me, that can give it a run for its money. Probably say Death Note, but that's just me. Like, I personally, hey man, I like Death Note over Code Geass, so I'm sorry.
Bro, you're only on episode 9 of Code Geass.
And I'm still gonna like Death Note over Code. I mean, even now, I still like Death Note over Code Geass.
Whatever. But yeah, so most definitely great series, great characters, great character writing,
great character moments.
Fine looking ladies. I mean, Minri, even though she ain't no Rose, she still came out on top.
Hawkeye. Movies. I guess it also helped that like the voice actor did Tamari in Naruto, so that kind of helped out.
Minri?
Not for Hawkeye.
For Hawkeye, it was really?
Yeah.
Tamari? Colin Kinkabeer did Tamari? I gotta go back and listen to the dub. I don't remember. Hawkeye's voice actor is Luffy's voice actor. So that's why I love her so much. Plus also, like, we met her last Yeah.
Yeah, last year. Obviously, it hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah, at the con. Well, almost.
Did you take a picture with her?
Yeah. I was happy about that one. She's a pretty lady too, so and she's fun, so that's cool. But most definitely, Metal Alchemist, possibly the GOAT, but people probably won't say it. I think it's the GOAT. I mean, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite anime of all time.
I think I put it as my favorite anime of all time. It's one of the things I can go back and watch anytime.
It's like my number 4.
Hey, I'm just happy it's in your top 5.
Yeah, but definitely like probably the greatest of all time. So if you haven't already checked it out, even though we spoiled a lot of it, it sucks for you.
Well, I mean, like I said, like still like us saying it will just not do it justice.
Yeah, so make sure you go through and check it out. Always enjoy it, and if you have any other topics or any other shows you want us to see us talk about, and probably talk about in a little bit more order, because we did kind of bounce around a lot, but it's free thinking, so
that's the beauty of us.
Yeah, so let us know in the comment section what other series that you want us to talk about, especially if we haven't seen it, so that way we can check it out.
Also, one last time, go watch Full Metal Alchemist, but they made snapping look cool. I mean, what show makes snapping look cool?
They make clapping cool. So so most definitely go check it out, and if whatever opinions you have on the show, leave it in the comment section as well. And also, before you get down to the comment section, make sure to like and subscribe for the channel. Also hit the notification bell so that way you can know anytime we post. Shouts to Michi, I ain't forget that. I ain't got nothing else.
You know what surprised me? This whole entire time, you never hit me with a short joke, because Ed is short. I thought you were going to call him, like, Pipsqueak sometime during this.
My character development moved me past me.
Yeah, you growing up. See, now watch the next episode. First thing you're like, what's good, Pipsqueak?
Most definitely.
Oh,
most definitely. It shows influential on me. Help me grow.
But thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. And remember, surpass your limits and plus ultra. Peace.
And also be sure to wash your ass.
This shit is too easy. Tell them I have no rivals. When I walk up in the spot, they know they nothing to me, and they gotta beg for their survival.